Alright, this whole thing needs an endpoint, and it doesn't have one because there are no clear goals. So welcome to part 7, my idea, pardon me, part 5, my idea for the endpoint. So this is what it is in a nutshell. My understanding of Black Lives Matter is that it is an idea and a statement, maybe to an extent a movement, but it's an ideology of, regardless of who I am in this country at this time, I do not think that black people are not entitled to the exact same thing as everybody else, nor do I think they should be treated different, nor I think they should be left behind in any ways. And as they are feeling it a lot right now with the police shooting, but also with the poverty. Yeah, there are a lot of things that many people would say, well, they have that as a resource in the poorer neighborhoods. They have this, and this. So why? Because they need to hear it. So just fucking do it and show support. You don't have to fucking wear a shirt. You don't have to say it. But when somebody says it to you, just say, okay, cool. All right, let it go. Don't reply with fucking, what about white lives matter? What about all lives matter? Don't do that to them. Just let them fucking know you don't think they're a piece of shit. Because if you're going to keep making them feel, whether you mean it that way or not, it's how they take it. So let that go, right? I also feel that because of the dissemination that I'm seeing in the defund the police, I call it a request, but actually it's been referred to as a demand several times. So with this defund the police demand that we're seeing, and the several different definitions of what that means, I'm starting to think that I know what has happened. It's two things. The obvious one, and the one that is important, is that black people are having a hard time, and they need to have a little bit of support, and they need a little something to make them get over some of these things that they've experienced. And the system that is in place, as much as it does offer equal opportunity, some of them have been too psychologically beaten by environmental condition to get to the point of understanding that that opportunity is there. Okay? Fair enough? So I have an idea. Before I get to that, I gotta say what the other thing is, though, and that is that the fucking communist terrorist groups of agitators have infiltrated and hijacked the Black Lives Matter mantra, and used the death of George Floyd to push their own agenda under the guise that they are a proponent of Black Lives Matter, and they have taken the emotional distress of the African Americans and hidden behind it while providing anonymous and silent tactics, ideas, methods, and even things in some instances to say while they're marching to further their own agenda. These are two different things that need to be handled in two different ways. And defund the police, well, I guess I would look at it like this. Complete abolition of the police is ludicrous unless you want the Wild Wild West. Really, there's not going to be, I mean, if it happens, it happens. We're a well-armed populace. So, unless you physically come around and take the guns, depending on who's in power, it would be a ludicrous bloodbath, and it would give birth to gangs, but the truth is we'd survive it. But it's not just going to be because it's not that's not what the black people really want, I don't think. I mean, I told you I saw some rage, and I told you that I also saw a little bit of more of a positive thing from black. I want to give both sides of that. You know, I had a little bit better rate of return when I would say hi to people, because I've seen some people that might otherwise be standoffish be a little bit more like, oh, this dude must be all right because he's saying hi to me, making a point. So that's good. Though I've still seen that fucking anger, and I've seen it be worse in mobs, and it's worse nationally every video that I've looked at. So I've seen this anger surface again and again and again, and I don't think that even if the cities bend over fucking backwards and say, well, we'll just do anything you want. You want us to make the police station a community center with flowers and fucking hippies that, or do you want privatized security, or do you really want just no police and we'll just do that from now on? I think that even the cities that are willing to fucking say that and just pass anything, I still don't think they're going to get what they want. I don't think that those cities, those leaders, are going to get what they want, which is an end to this, because that is not what their actual constituency wants or needs. I think that there's a lot of ideas there that were floated around the people, and they hear aspects of them and they think they sound good, and because, like I said, they're trying to do something they consider righteous, so they're pushing for it. But that ain't, in a practical fucking sense, I got to imagine a lot of people that are saying, they're like, I was going to say it, but this ain't going to happen. It sounds nice to say it. I'll keep saying it as long as I can, as long as this shit goes on, but there's no fucking way they're just going to, the police are just going to pack up and leave. I tell you what, if I was in charge of a city right now, I'd give the police a fucking week furlough or something. Week off, non-paid, or 2 weeks, or paid, whatever. I would give them a fucking week or two off and say, here, guys, you want to see what abolish is like? Here it is. Nobody's going to fucking do that. It'd be great if they did. Nobody's going to do that. Because that would only take one example in one city for everybody to say, well, this is fucking ludicrous. It would be a fucking slaying. The city would probably burn. It would just be carnage. Which is why that's a fucking crazy idea. So, I'm just of the opinion that idea, in one way or another, came from an extremist group. And they need to be dealt with separately, and they need to be fucking dealt with. Not just allowed to continue. Just understand this, they need to be dealt with, in my opinion, like a fucking terrorist group. And if you don't think that they're on the same level as a different national or international terrorist group, then how about this? How long is it going to be until somebody that we all can agree on is fucking dangerous and is real and has some kind of, if not leader face, public mantra, what Middle Eastern to ISIS, who's it going to take to start funneling them fucking money? Because the more chaos there is here, the less attention we're going to pay to them. So even if you don't consider Antifa or whatever other, the Communist Party or whatever other of these fringe groups have done this infiltrating, they have fucking done it. And they are here, and they are not only an affront to the security of our nation, they are also abusing our African American citizens by hijacking something that they are very fucking emotional about and trying to take advantage of it and steer it where they want it for their fucking end goals. Fuck them. So, I think the right thing to do, I know I'll get some backlash from this from people, but honestly, I think the right thing to do is just, for Trump, as quickly as he can, leaning on every member of fucking Congress and the Senate to approve it in whatever ways are legally required for him to be able to pass this and them approve it. I think it's time for him to of his own fucking volition, offer an apology speech for every part of the history of the country that has negatively affected black people. Just do it without somebody fucking telling you to do it. And say, and we're going to give you the reparations. And further, to make it easy. And I think this is a good idea, and it's very time appropriate. When this happened with the Native Americans, they had to figure out, what do we give them, how much, and how do you figure out, well, what is the land that was taken in this area? What was it worth as it was developed? What would it be worth nowadays? What would their investment have been if they had sold it for a fair price, or what? So much math. So they said casinos and reservations. And for all the negative things that you could say about reservations, you gotta admit, sovereign fucking land on American soil, nobody else is ever gonna get that. That is, I realize there are problems and a lot of issues natives have with reservations, but that is pretty fucking cool. And casinos. Outside of Vegas, pretty much nobody can operate a casino unless they're part of a tribe. And then the idea was for the tribe to take the money that they make and spread it to their own people, so that way everybody got a fair share. So I think it's easy to do this exact same thing with black people. Instead of trying to figure out a math formula where you figure out how many generations was your family actually here in bondage, how much money could you potentially have been paid as a wage had you been paid a fair wage, and blah blah blah. And for the ones who cannot trace their lineage back, how do you come up with a fair stipend for the people who can't trace their lineage, or how many generations they were actually here? That's, again, extremely complicated math, and it won't happen quickly, and it'll be one of the things like, well, they said it, but they're not going to do it. So the easy way to do this, marijuana is legal medicinally, I think everywhere in the U.S., if not just about everywhere. It's decriminalized just about everywhere, if not everywhere, and it's legal recreationally in a lot of states now, and it's not going to be long for everybody else to fall in line. So this would be the perfect time to say that from this point going forward, as the reparations, that'll be with the black people, and they'll be able to be the only people who are able to grow or sell wholesale or retail anything CBD or marijuana, and that'll be their exclusivity. Because what a fucking business that would be. Talk about redistributing the wealth. Not only is there the tax money, and they get tax breaks if they don't buy out of country weed. So don't buy anything from Mexico just because you want to get more. Don't buy any from Canada. Make it American grown. Growing it yourself, or growing it from somebody, buying it from somebody else who's growing it here. They get a bit of a tax break, but think of the tax boom and then the amount of money that industry could generate. They'll be some of the richest people in the country. Problem solved. Issues addressed. Healing process begun. Reparations, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of, stuff. Well, you know what? We just had a pandemic, or whatever you want to call this corona thing, and in a short period of time, the government was able to and had enough money to turn out $500 billion in free money for the people because they couldn't work, or because just in general, because they needed the extra money for the situation. But no damn well the source and well of money is not inexhaustible. And if you're going to try to come to a fair number, you can't just say, well, we'll give you some small number per person. That's not. It's got to be fair. And we just spent a ton of money on the pandemic relief. Some people are still calling for additional pandemic relief. I realize some of it was corporate, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to say all of it was necessary, but certainly a good portion of that corporate was just as necessary as the individual. economics. Don't ask me to explain it, but don't pretend like you understand it so well that you could say absolutely no corporation should got any money. Point being, we can't just pull out another fucking billion or 2 billion or 10 billion or half. We can't pull that money out. The best way to do it is to take this industry that's about to explode, generate a ton of revenue, and give it over. And it could happen quickly. While at the same time, don't let those fucking communist terrorists infiltrate our government like they're trying to do. And also, of course, I'd be clear that along with stopping these terrorists immediately, people who participate in the looting and the fucking violence, that's got to be stopped too. They don't get a pass. You know, and obviously, smashing a window one time, as fucking dumb as it may or may not be, is not the same as deciding you're going to attack your rival because there's no police to stop you and murdering them, or going after random people for whatever reason, whether it's race-based or class-based, or based on the fact that you know you're not going to get caught, or based on the fact that you have anger issues that you absolutely cannot fucking control and you're ecstatic to have the opportunity to act them out. That can't be forgiven. That's it.